So I stared at my phone for 47 minutes yesterday trying to decide whether to call someone or text them or just pretend I didn't see the message at all. And here's the spoiler alert. I did nothing. Classic indecision.
Bold move there, hero.
Thanks.
Analysis paralysis. And it's terrible. And you know what? I respect your inaction.
Yeah, it really was like my brain hosted a TED Talk on every possible scenario, but then it just kind of unplugged the mic.
And that, my friend, is what we're diving into today. Indecision. Why it feels safe, why it keeps us stuck, and how Coin gives us a way out.
Because that's the deal. Coin isn't just a clever acronym. It's a practice. It's a way to confirm where you are, own what's real, get intentional about what matters, and then change the freaking nature of everything.
Okay, let's do this.
Welcome to the Nature of Everything podcast with Bo and Clint, where we deep dive into the world of personal development through Coin. Confirm it, own it, be intentional, and change the nature of everything.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Nature of Everything. I'm Bo and I've got Clint on with me and we're excited that you're here and let's jump on in.
Yeah, and real quick before we jump all the way in, if you're new here, welcome. This is the Nature of Everything where we use this thing called Coin to help make sense of this messy, hilarious, frustrating, and beautiful, amazing life that we're all part of.
Yeah, and look, we did write a book. It's called Confirm It, Own It, Be Intentional, and Change the Nature of Everything in Your Life. And in retrospect, that's a mouthful.
Yeah, we basically named it Coin, and then we decided to add like 11 more words just to make sure everybody could say our book, but you need a breath mint in order to finish it. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we took a perfectly good acronym and we gave it a TED Talk title, but look, it's not a fluffy self-help book. It's practical, it's honest, and it's honestly built to help you when you get stuck.
Yeah, and you know what? That's the real value. It serves as like a guide you can come back to again and again, especially in these moments with, like today, we're talking about indecision.
Yeah, I think people should come back to it again and again. Like, I think people should read it multiple times to really let the ideas that are there take root, because that's when Coin really shines. It's when you're stuck or when your brain's spinning or when doing nothing feels safer than making the wrong move.
Sure, and Coin gives you steps. Not magic, but it is about confirming the truth and owning your part and being intentional and letting that shift the whole game.
Y'all, we don't want to do this alone. We're trying to find our community, people who are also tired of feeling stuck and people who are ready to live with more clarity and direction and peace. So if you haven't yet, go check out coinyourlife.com or find us on social media, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. Just search Coin Your Life.
Yeah, and send us your thoughts and your moments where you're stuck or your I don't know moments. Like, we're all figuring it out together.
Yeah, so look, let's get into it. Today we're talking about indecision, what causes it, what it costs us, and how to coin your way out of it. So let's talk about it. Indecision. It sounds harmless, right? Like you think, I'm just taking my time, I'm weighing my options, I'll figure it out. But let's be honest, sometimes figuring it out becomes your lifestyle, and it's not a great one.
Yeah, it's like your brain gets caught in this, I don't know, like this weird traffic loop or something, like a weird roundabout where every option seems to have some downside to it. And you just idle in this intersection until your battery dies on your vehicle and you say, or you run out of gas. And I say that because, I mean, personally, I've lived that.
Look, I'll give you one here. Let's talk about buying a car. The idea of buying a car sends me into like a full spiral, a negative spiral, by the way. Like there was one time I spent 6 months renting cars because I couldn't make a decision. 6 months.
So basically you financed the car just kind of 1 week at a time?
Yeah. But like at 11 million% interest, I pretty much invented like a new APR.
The bank of avoidance has terrible terms, by the way. You shouldn't invest there.
And look, it wasn't because I didn't have any options. I just felt like I had too many options. And I kept hoping that one perfect thing would just magically appear. But you know what that cost me? And not just money, but time and mental energy and the peace of mind. I mean, I got so tired of second guessing that I just kept doing nothing, and I paid for it.
Sure. Well, but that's the trap because we think we're being cautious, but what we're really doing is overspending. And when I'm talking about we're overspending in those areas that you mentioned, like time, money, energy, because we're just sort of too afraid to decide.
Look, and if I'm being really honest, it wasn't about the car. It was about some fear of picking wrong and living with regret. And indecision turns every choice into this referendum on your whole identity.
Yeah. And you know what? There's a quote from Napoleon Hill. He's the guy who wrote Think and Grow Rich.
Oh, yeah.
He said, indecision is the seedling of fear. And I mean, that has gravity, that hits, because when you trace it back, indecision, it's almost always, if not always, rooted in some type of fear. Like you mentioned, that fear of failure or fear of, the wrong choice, fear of judgment, or not being who we said we were going to be.
And we think we're buying ourselves time, but we're really just deferring clarity. Like the longer we delay a decision, the more it builds up like some emotional debt. Like just like a financial debt that the interest compounds fast.
Sure. So another reference for you. Barry Schwartz, psychologist, named this particular sort of aspect the paradox of choice. And the idea is that too many options actually doesn't give us freedom. It gives us that anxiety and that analysis paralysis that we mentioned before. Like the more choices we have, the more we fear like we're going to make the wrong one. And so we end up just sort of stymied and stagnant because we choose nothing.
Look, and that's why it sort of explains why I spent 40 minutes yesterday trying to decide which streaming service to watch a movie on. Like, I didn't just not pick a movie, I reconsidered the whole meaning of the entertainment industry.
Indecision, brought to you by Hulu, Netflix, and your overactive brain.
Yeah. Oh, seriously. Like, you laugh. But I mean, like, even that, it gets heavy. That sounds ridiculous. It gets heavy, though. I mean, the longer you stay stuck in indecision, the more your confidence erodes and you stop trusting yourself. And that's dangerous because if you don't trust your own judgment, how do you build a life that you actually want?
True. People don't talk enough about the emotional cost of indecision. It's exhausting. And I know you think you're saving energy. I know I feel like often I'm saving some type of energy by waiting, holding off, but really just burning up brain power every moment that I'm not choosing my path. And that stress shows up in your body physically and in your relationships, how you're sleeping, are you resting at night? It's all there.
I mean, that really hits me because I just sit here and I just go like, man, the words that he just said couldn't be more true. Yeah, and there's a quote by Tony Robbins that I like. Let's bring Tony in.
Yeah, pay attention to this one.
Exactly. Like he said, it's in your moments of decision that your destiny is shaped. And that sounds big and dramatic, sure, but it's also true. Like not choosing is a choice. And a lot of us are living with the results of those choices that we didn't ever get around to making.
Yeah, and that actually is where coin comes in. Because the goal here, it isn't to make the perfect choice, but it is to get unstuck.
So that's good.
To stop drifting and start deciding who you want to be and what kind of life you want to live.
We're going to walk through how coin actually applies to indecision. And we're going to go step by step. We're going to show you how to confirm what's real and own what's yours and really get intentional about what matters and change the nature of this stuck spot maybe in your life.
Yeah, because staying stuck, it's not safe. It's simply just familiar. As we've mentioned in the past, like familiarity is not where you gain growth. And being familiar is not necessarily the same as being free either.
I hate that that's true.
I know.
All right, so let's get into the guts of this thing. Coin. Like if you're sitting in indecision, If you're tired of circling the same drain, coin really can be a tool that you didn't even know that you needed.
True, because coin, it's not a mantra, but it is like a method. It is that practice, a repeatable process, and it is a practical way to move through that stuckness that you mentioned. And as you move out of this area of being stuck, you move towards clarity. First step is to confirm it. That's where you get radically honest about what's going on. Not what you hope is going on, not what you're pretending or what mask that you're wearing to really wish this was what was going on. But then when you get to the nuts and bolts of it and what actually is going on.
And when you're stuck in indecision, it's crucial. I mean, you have to name the frozen part. You have to confirm that you're stuck. You have to confirm what you're avoiding. And you have to confirm that the clock, it's still ticking.
That's true. So it's kind of like a diagnosis. If you don't name something, then you're probably not able to treat it. And
Yeah,
a
I
lot
like
of us
that.
are, yeah, and a lot of us are trying to solve indecision with some false motivation or trying to guilt our way into moving forward instead of just being truthful and honest with ourselves. Because truth, that honesty, if you're going to move forward, then honesty and truth, I think that's what sets the coordinates for your mapping.
Yeah, like when I was stuck on the card decision. What I had to finally confirm was this. I wasn't being practical. I was trying to find a perfect solution so that I could avoid regret. And the deal is once I said that out loud, it kind of changed everything. The next step, I had to own it, right? This is about responsibility. It's not about blame. You own your role in the stuckness. You own your fear and your overthinking and your perfectionism, and you stop outsourcing the delay.
Ooh, and I'll tell you, ownership, it can be pretty uncomfortable. It's not necessarily sexy. It is freeing, though. There is freedom in that ownership because once you own it, you realize that no one's coming to make this decision for you. But that's actually great news. That's fantastic news because it means you can make the decision. You are taking control of your next steps.
Yeah, and owning isn't just admitting what you did or didn't do. It is claiming what you want to do. You want to own your desires even, and you want to say, "Yeah, I actually do want a life that looks different." That's powerful.
Absolutely. Which, that brings you to that intentionality piece, to be intentional. This is where those things shift because you stop reacting and you start directing. You start acting. You decide how you want to show up. You decide what matters most and what next steps you're going to take for yourself.
Yeah, because perfection is the enemy of movement. Like intentionality says, I don't need to leap across the Grand Canyon today. I just need to take one damn step.
Sure. And that's where you build that incremental traction too. You're intentional with whether it's your calendar or your conversations, your habits and practices. You get to create the systems that align with what you care about. And instead of hoping clarity somehow magically appears, you actually take control of that and you're at the helm of making those actionable steps.
All right, and finally, change the nature of everything. This is the part where all those choices, they start to change your reality. It's the ripple effect. You shift the story, the dynamic, that you shift the energy in the room.
Yeah, so if you ever see someone, walk into a room with that clarity and presence, that's what this can create. Because you're not just deciding something, you're also in that becoming portion.
Yeah, I really like that. Look, the nature of everything isn't just out there, it's in here. It's how you see yourself, it's how you respond to life, it's how you decide. Like when you coin your way through indecision, you're not just making a choice, you're really reclaiming your agency.
And that's why coin's like badass to me, because it gives you a way to move, not necessarily through hustle or we've talked about not through that motivation, not through hype, but actually through applying clarity and honesty, ownership, and intention, obviously.
Yeah, and it's not a quick fix. It's not a magic bullet. It's a daily practice. I was thinking about as we were going through confirm it, own it, be intentional, that any one of these could take any amount of time to accomplish. But the good news is that it works because you're not trying to be someone else. You're just trying to be more you, and you're trying to live on purpose. And so let's walk through this thing in real time. Let's say that you're at a job and it's fine.
It's fine. I said it's fine.
It pays the bills, but deep down that it's not fine. You're tired and you're disengaged and maybe even a little bit bitter, but you stay because leaving feels terrifying. Like you've got responsibilities, you've got fear.
And again, I do believe this is where Coin steps in because none of these steps are necessarily easy. They're also not necessarily quick. Sometimes you may have to stew in some of this for weeks or months or whatever the time frame is, and that is okay. This isn't about rushing through it and pushing aimlessly, but it is about getting real with yourself and the actual situation. So step one, confirm it. We're going to name this thing and we're going to say it out loud. I'm not happy in this job. I'm afraid of change. I've been avoiding action because this unknown, it feels risky and it's riskier than the familiar pain that I'm sitting in.
Yeah, and listen, that's hard.
Sure.
Like confirming it means pulling back that curtain on our own patterns. And that's brutal sometimes. It's not just brutal. It is the start. It's the start of every breakthrough. And if you lie to yourself here, the whole thing, it just falls apart. Because next we have to get to own it. And this is where people want to tap out, I think. Because that means taking responsibility. And not for the problem necessarily, but maybe for your part in it or your response to it.
But it's important that you're not blaming yourself for how you got here. You're just saying, from here forward, I'm the one holding the pen. I'm writing the story out. So I think that's that ownership piece. It's that moment that you take your power back.
Yeah. And that ownership, it hurts sometimes. I mean, sometimes you realize that you've been avoiding this thing for years, that you've been giving away your life in like tiny increments. But then that acknowledgement is that rock turned into a coin. It's freeing because now you can actually do something about it.
That becomes now intentionality. It's not about fixing everything overnight. Like we've said, it's not an overnight overhaul. It's about deciding what small incremental moves you will make for today and what you're going to prioritize, even when it is uncomfortable.
Yeah. And look, maybe it's updating your resume. I mean, maybe it's just saying the words out loud to somebody that you trust or, I'm thinking about making a change. I mean, that's a win.
Sure.
I mean, being intentional means that you're in motion, and that's what matters. And when you do that, you start to change the nature of everything. Not because your job magically transforms, but because you did. Your energy changes and your mindset shifts, and you stop playing small.
Let's be clear, though. This isn't a one and done. Coin isn't. It's not a one night stand. It's an actual relationship.
You went there.
I know. You'll cycle through it over and over, and some days knock it out of the park. You'll absolutely crush it. Some days, not so much. You might have to crawl to the finish line, as it were. But every time you show up, you're still building something real.
Yeah, it's definitely not easy. Not always easy, for sure. But it is worth it because it's how you stop drifting. It's how you start showing up as the person you actually want to be. And so let's slow it down for a second because here's the part we don't say enough. You're going to be uncomfortable. Right. I mean, to confirm something, to be honest with yourself, to take responsibility, that can be really uncomfortable.
Sure.
And even after that, honestly, like as you move into intention, sometimes you have to do something that's uncomfortable, but it will change the nature of everything.
Yeah. So I think oftentimes we're wanting clarity to feel like an aha moment, like it just clicks and the clouds part and the angels sing. But I think for me, often like getting to clarity, like finding my way to clarity, it oftentimes has some, insomnia associated with it or some nausea, but because you're working your way through that, you're oftentimes I'm pacing around the house, wondering why my stomach's in knots while I'm finding my way to clarity.
That feeling, that confusion, that's fear. I mean, that's the exact space between who you were and who you're becoming. And
Yeah.
you've got to sit with that for a minute. And that is the gap.
Indeed.
So what do you do when you're stuck in the discomfort? Like, we've discovered some tools that are out there that we think could be helpful. And the first one is, I'm going to say this is our own tool. You name it. In writing. You get it out of your head and onto the paper. And then there are some breathing exercises that you could do, like box breathing. A lot of the, self-help gurus, they talk about breathing, but breathing does matter. So let's listen to them. It sounds simple, but it can actually regulate your nervous system by doing like box breathing. It's like 4 count inhale, 4 count exhale or whatever.
Sure.
Time box your decision. I really like this one. Give yourself 24 hours or some period of time. There's no infinite loop, and you decide when the clock's up. And then, like my favorite one, talk it out. You choose a person that you trust, and that person that's not just going to echo your fears, but listen.
Sure. Also one that I think works well is physically move your body. Go for a walk or whatever. There's tons of research out there that suggests that any type of bilateral movement, walking, running, jogging, swimming, any of those things, it actually helps your brain process whatever hard decision is bouncing around in there.
Look, and being intentional doesn't always mean taking action. Sometimes it just means not running away. Like, it means saying, like, I'm in the hard part and I'm going to stay here and let it teach me something.
Certainly. That is how you change the nature of everything. You stop treating discomfort like that red light in the intersection we were talking about being stalled in, and I guess you start seeing it like this green light that just happens to be terrifying.
Yeah, growth rarely feels like growth. It usually does feel like anxiety or confusion. There's usually some sweat involved.
It's so sweaty.
And look, if you're listening to this and you're thinking like, man, I've been stuck in something for a really long time, just know that you are not alone. Like, we've lived it. Hell, we're still living parts of it.
And certainly, again, Coin doesn't have magic answers, but what it does give us is that mirror. A method and a way to keep showing up, a manner by which you keep being present, whether it's foggy or there's that nausea or that insomnia. Like, even when we don't feel brave and confident and courageous, like clarity, maybe it hadn't shown up yet, but we're still there.
And that's the point. This process, Coin, it's not about speeding through to some perfect solution. It's about refusing to stay stuck. Refusing to freeze. It's just a practice of awareness and honesty and just not stopping.
That really is why we wrote the book. Confirm it, own it, be intentional, and change the nature of everything in your life. Yeah, we know it's a long title. But you know what? It's packed with the stuff that, honestly, we wish we had known or we were given when we were in deep spirals.
Yeah, and again, it's not a once-read book. It's the kind of book that you're going to come back to 10, 12 times. And different pages are going to hit different depending on where you are. Like, highlight it, argue with it, journal with it. Just don't shelf it.
Absolutely. So look, if you haven't yet, please go out and get the book. It's at coinyourlife.com. And when you do, read it like your life is worth the work. Give it that level of gravity, because it is. Your life is worth all of the work.
All right. And remember, we're in this with you. Keep coining, keep choosing, keep becoming. And look, we're going to see you next time.
I dig it.
You can dig it.
Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to check out coinyourlife.com and find us on social media.